What is going on YouTube? We are live here at Mercurios Music and RestoBar, formerly known as the pizza place at Heights Point.
Downtown Heights Point.
Downtown Heights Point. Thank you, my friend. My name is Matt Prophet, and we are coming to you on my YouTube channel, The Artful Rhino. This is going to be a first part episode of a few episodes that I've got scheduled coming up in the next few weeks for a series called RHINOTalk. I am the Rhino, Matt Prophet.
RHINOTalk, what's that mean? What's all that about?
Well, this is going to be a special series about my involvement in the community, especially those around my, including myself, who I'm involved with through the world of music, starting off with the first series. With me today, I have Max Mercurio, and he's the owner of Mercurios Music and RestoBar, his namesake. And I also understand he's the president of an organization called MRF, the Musicians Emergency Relief Foundation. Now, I'd like to start off with a little bit of who you are. Can you give us a little bit of background, like what is your role here at Mercurios?
Right. Well, I appreciate it. First of all, thank you, Matt. Thanks for having us on, and thank you for coming to our establishment.
You're most welcome.
And bringing RHINOTalk to Mercurios Music and RestoBar. So my name is Matt Mercurio. I am the owner of this establishment. I am the president of the Musicians Emergency Resource Foundation in Louisville, which has been around for about 42 years. It's a 501c3 charity, right? We help musicians in their time of need. We do that by doing concerts, events, selling tickets to shows, selling t-shirts, that kinds of things. And every dime that we bring in to that charity goes right back out to the musician community in their time of need here in Louisville. So we've been doing that for about 42 years.
Well, that's good. I also understand that this that MRF was founded by Marvin Maxwell, and I actually know this gentleman personally and professionally through Mom's Music.
That's right. Yes.
At down on Melwood Avenue. So I'd like to give them a shout out. Shout out to Mom's Music. Shout out to Marvin Maxwell and his son Max, or Mark Maxwell over at Maxwell's House of Music. I'll get it right one of these days in Clarksville. And I also want to give a shout out to Mark, as well as the rest of the Little Crashers, one of my favorite groups. And you mentioned as far as charity goes, I understand you're also involved with Shirley's Way. Can you tell us a little bit about what?
Yeah, absolutely. So Shirley's Way is another 501c3 charity that's been in Louisville for a little while now, and their cause is to help cancer victims and cancer patients in their time of need, right? So when a cancer patient is having trouble making ends meet, or whatever the need is, Shirley's Way steps in, usually with a good sum of money, and they take care of them. They have programs in place that are trying to find a cure to cancer and do research and that kind of thing. They're phenomenal folks, and they are always willing to jump in whenever trouble strikes. And in addition to that, Shirley's Way even has their casino games located here at our facility. And every dime that these machines take in goes right back out to helping cancer victims.
That is interesting. Myself, I have lost a couple loved ones.
Everybody has.
To cancer.
Yes, absolutely.
As is everyone else. Now I'd like to switch gears real quick, and I want to talk about the bar, Mercurios Music and RestoBar itself. First off, what is a RestoBar? I know some people may be a little confused in this generation what a RestoBar actually is.
Yes.
So I would like to know what exactly makes a RestoBar a RestoBar.
Right, and I appreciate that question, because believe it or not, we've been asked that so many times. Exactly what is a RestoBar? And it's a very simple answer. It's a very trendy word that combines restaurants and bars. So therefore, we have RestoBar. That's all it is.
I understand. As you see, we are actually conducting this interview on the in-house stage. As you can see, we got some conga drums behind us. I myself appreciate that. I also play the congas in the band myself.
All right, that's awesome. I want to hear you play a little bit later. You play?
Yes, I can actually.
All right, okay.
And since we're on the subject of music, a couple of questions I wanted to ask you that a few of my followers out here wanted me to ask as well. What kind of were you ever in a band? And if so, who'd you play for?
So I've been playing guitar since I was about 7 years old, and I always make a really funny joke about it. It's God gave me the talent to play guitar, but He didn't give me the talent to sing. So you don't want me singing, but yes, I've been playing since I was about 7 years old. I play guitar, I play a little bit of piano. And the thing about it is making music with your friends, just like the song says, it really is something that's very rewarding. So I've been doing that for quite a while.
Right. Do you have did you ever play any groups?
A lot of garage bands that you probably never heard of way back in the 70s, but yeah, we played a couple of party bands. I've actually played a couple of gigs up in Chicago a couple times. So.
Is there anyone of them you'd like to give a shout out to, or anybody? Since we're on shout outs, anybody special you'd like to give a shout out to while we're on the subject?
I would like to give a shout out to the previous owner of this place, which is Sean Shannon, and her dad, Roddy Shannon, which used to own the pizza place, which everybody knows, the pizza place in Heights Point. It's been around for 30 years, the best pizza in the world. In the world, at least in Louisville.
I have to agree with you there. I myself am a pizza connoisseur. I'm also a food connoisseur. And my mother, who you met recently when she was up here with me a few nights back, she can actually back me up on this statement. I understand that since we're on the subject of food here or whatever, if she wants a good good set of French fries, this is the place to come, people. If you guys want a good order of food, good pizza, and a good order of French fries, which I understand you'll use a special kind of air fryer here, and everything is baked here. Everything is baked,
so it's super healthy. We have no fryers in the place whatsoever.
Believe me, I checked.
Yeah, right. And it's, in my opinion, it's something about the dough and the sauce. And I'll just leave it at that. It's it's the seven secret recipe that I cannot give out. It'd be big trouble if I gave that out.
And it should. So, but they won't give me access to the regular here.
They won't give me access. I own the place. So there you go.
Can't argue that. So, but anyway, I would like to talk a little bit more about the menu. Do you have a favorite item on the menu?
Yeah, good question. I would have to say it would be the ultimate, in my opinion, the pizza. Again, it is something about the dough and the sauce, but this pizza, and I challenge everybody to prove me wrong. I think it is the best in the city of Louisville. And it's something about the recipe.
Oh, he's challenging.
I'm throwing the gauntlet down.
He threw the gauntlet down. So Bear Nose, Wicks, Zaz, anybody that's local,
Impellizzeri's,
Mercurios. This guy's issuing you a challenge. If you guys can make a pizza better than he can,
we should have a pizza off.
Yes, we should. Because guess what? If you guys, we're putting up the challenge right now. If any one of you guys out there dares to accept here in the Louisville area, we double dare you to.
Double dog dare you.
Double dog dare you. I'll even up that. Andy by quoting the Christmas stories. It's for near holidays. I triple dog dare you.
That's right.
And now the name Mercurios Music and RestoBar. Getting back to like down gearing a little bit. Can you tell us a little bit about who you have playing coming up in the next couple of weeks? Like what bands do you have coming in?
Yeah, right. So thank you for that question. So yes, so we are stepping up the music in our area. Heights Point, downtown Heights Point has been phenomenal in the past years for having music and nightclub life and that kind of thing, and we're bringing it back. So starting this Friday, we're going to have the Revelators. We've had Blue Funk on. We're talking about bringing on the Bourbon Thieves, which I know a lot of people like. Soul Circus. I'm trying to sweet talk Mark and the Crashers and all those guys that come in here.
If you do that, I'll even help promote the show. Speaking of promoting, I know I've talked to bands playing. I know I spoke with you on a couple of occasions recently about having the band I play in, and I want to give a shout out to Michael Bush, Richard Bush, his brother Bob Bush, and Alyssa Jones, Michael's sister, and the rest of the crew, with Mike Bush, the All-Stars, of who I'm going on 8 years as a member with. I'm actually, as I said, I play congas. These are not mine, by the way. These are actually sit here for a reason. But I started taking drum lessons actually at Mom's Music with Jen Yates.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to Jen. I love you, chick.
Love you, Jen. Love you, Jen. Peace.
Jen, J-Y-N.
Yeah, Jen Yates.
So yeah, so Jen, thanks for the tutelage, and we love you. And I also would like to give a shout out, as I was saying, to the All-Stars for allowing me to take part in the band, or having me to line up going on 8 years ago. Let's see what else we got.
We got to get you on stage. We got to get you to get up here with your groups and your buds. Let's get you up here and play.
Yes. So, but yeah, we like to. I know we've talked a couple of times about possibly scheduling us for maybe sometime this summer. And I know sometimes scheduling bands, especially outdoors with others guys, does come with controversy, especially at night, especially with the no noise ordinance. Can you care to? You don't have to, but can you touch base on?
I would love to, and thank you for the question. So. The noise ordinance that has been put in place since September 3rd of 2023 has really put a hindrance on any kind of outside music playing with venues, right? And the premise around that is the bands and the stages and the nightclub life is affecting the private life of residents and that kind of thing.
Right.
So there was an ordinance put in place in September 3rd that allowed the ABC and some other city officials to come in and actually tell the venue, what kind of dB level they can play at. And there's a little bit of challenge there because now it's a little bit hard for nightclubs and club owners and that kind of thing to offer music as well as musicians to play on the stage.
Especially, I would say this is a rule they have to follow, but I personally think this, ordinance is, a little bit controversy because I understand the erotic that one time on a couple of occasions, especially being the size of the band and the noise level they have, they can actually fine you for however late you go. I understand the cutoff. I understand the cutoff was like, what, 10:30?
It's actually 9 p.m. and there is a $2,500 fine attached to it. But let me say this: there's a lot of confusion around the $2,500 fine, and let me just kind of set it straight. So ABC is coming in and saying, okay, Mr. Venue Owner, you're above the level. You're affecting the noise for your residents and everybody around you. So what we're going to do is we're going to issue a $2,500 fine. But now, what the general public doesn't understand is ABC is not fining the venue owner $2,500. What they're saying is we want you, Mr. Venue Owner, to take $2,500 worth of your own funds and make it a better venue as far as sound is concerned. So you're putting up sound baffles, you're redirecting your speaker stacks, you're not affecting the residents that are around. So they're not really issuing a $2,500 fine. What they're trying to do is to get the venue owners to make their facility a better place to dish out the music.
And it looks like, by the looks of things, and I've been coming here since I've lived in the area. Originally, I'm from the St. Regis Park area, which was that away on Lincoln Road, but now I live up here in the Klondike area. And I've been frequenting you guys since probably July of 2012.
Wow.
And so a little over a 10-year regular. I first started a little bit about my history of this place, if I may. I first started frequenting here mainly because I got an interest in the Texas Hold'em leagues that you all used to have.
Yes.
Mainly the Louisville Poker Tour and the River City Poker League.
Yes.
Which I frequented both on numerous occasions.
Nice.
And I understand that that one of them had to pull out at your request because you wanted to focus more on music. And I was wondering if I could give a shout out to both leagues, Jimmy Biggers with River City Poker, and Rodney Young, my dear friend, my poker mentor and LPT, the local poker tour. Shout out to you guys to both leagues. I know I still play with River City Poker on maybe once or twice a week sometimes on Thursdays at the Golden Nugget, which is right up here, another place I frequent.
Right.
And then on Thursday afternoons and Saturday afternoons. And then let's see what else. Get back to music. Do you have a favorite band that you like?
Oh boy, that's a loaded question. I mean, we could be here for hours, but I'll tell you my go-to band, and anybody that knows me knows that I'm a blues kind of rhythm and blues kind of guy. But my go-to band is Led Zeppelin, right? Number one. But from there off, you know, I like old school, like Howlin' Wolf, John Lee Hooker. I like the Black Crowes. I like ZZ Top because they have that riff that John Lee Hooker actually built way back in the '60s that everybody samples. And
I think they did. Like John Lee Hooker and ZZ Top did kind of like a hard-hitting football style song, boom, 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 boom.
That's it, boom, boom, boom. That's right. Yeah, so that's one of my favorites.
So that's also been featured in Hollywood. So
yes.
What's the such a subject of bands? Have you attended any concerts recently? And what has two-part question? Number one, have you attended any concerts recently? And part two, what has been your favorite concert that you've attended thus far up to this point?
Oh wow, up to this point. Well, let me tell you. Yeah.
Take your time.
Yeah, right. So. The most recent concert that I attended was, of course, Bourbon and Beyond, and it had a really good lineup. The Black Crowes were there, the Doobie Brothers were there. I mean, I could go on and on and on. It was a great, fantastic concert, which they always do. Danny Wimmer and his group, they do a phenomenal job. The very first concert that I ever went to when I was just a kid, and I'm dating myself now, was Dr. Hook in the Atlanta Rhythm section way back in the late '70s, you know.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I could go from then on. It's Bob Seger, Ted Nugent, Molly Hatchet, Night Ranger was a good one. But a favorite that I just went to down in Nashville about a year and a half ago was the Stones, and they're one of my go-tos.
Have you ever gotten a chance to meet any famous musicians like top tier? Or if you have, who has been the most nicest, and which musician has been the nicest, and which one has been the most complete friend?
Right off the bat, that's an easy one. Right off the bat. So yes, to answer your question, I've met several musicians in my lifetime, but the one that stands out the most is, and it was just recently, unfortunately, I met one of my guitar heroes of all time, which was Billy Gibbons.
Billy Gibbons, yeah.
Right. So. Yeah, a couple of years ago, we were, and I hate to say it on a bad note, it was Dusty Hill's last concert, right, at Iroquois Amphitheater here in Louisville. But anyway, we're standing out in the parking lot. I did not have tickets. Me and my buddy were standing out there, and we're by the tour bus. Billy Gibbons comes walking off, and he gives us a couple tickets up to the front. Nicest guy in the world, nicest guy you'll ever want to meet. Dusty came out that night, and they actually carried him out on stage, put him up on an amp, and he played, and they had to change, his guitar. And I looked at my buddy and I said, Billy came out on stage and he announced, Dusty has something wrong with his ankle. He was trying to downplay it. And I looked at my buddy that night and I said, there's something more wrong, because they were changing guitars. He couldn't even lift his guitar, And I think it was 2 days later he died. It was horrible.
Wow. That'd be a way to go.
But that is the most, in my opinion, ZZ Top, they, back in the '70s, they took that John Lee Hooker riff, and they turned it around, and they made a whole career off of this, and they actually came out with their own style, which a lot of people are sampling nowadays. So kudos to ZZ Top.
Right, and so I have to make the question: have you ever met a musician who's been that guy, so to speak? Like, which musician is, as far as we cover the nicest, which musician have you ever met that's
one of my favorites?
That's been a complete prick.
Well, and I don't want to say that, but and he was probably having a bad day because a lot of musicians they're on the road so many nights out of the year that it's just going crazy for them. But way back when, again in the 80s, it was George Thorogood, which George is one of my all-time favorite guitar players in the world. Very talented.
We're talking George Thorogood, right?
I am. I sure am.
Wow.
Yeah, but he was obviously having a bad day, and we met with him, talked with him, and he was either a very busy guy. He had a lot of things on his mind. He stayed with us for about 5 minutes and he had to go. And it wasn't, it wasn't a bad conversation, but you could clearly see that he was. I don't want to say he was mad, but he was clearly bothered about some fans that are in his dressing room when we talk, and he said, "I got to go," and he left. And I get it. I get it, but. I am paying my $100 or whatever it was to go see him. I like to shake my hand or whatever, but it's all good. He's still one of the top-rated guitar players and one of my favorite guitar heroes of all time.
Yeah, I met personally. I've met a few of the musicians. There was actually two a few years ago, back in 2017. My friend's mom and her husband had died earlier that year, and she was wanting to take someone to this music fest down in Jackson, Tennessee, just about half hour, maybe 40 minutes east of Memphis. And so I went with her just to keep the tradition alive that year. And think of who was there. One of the Hollies was there. He did his brother's version of One Cool Woman in a Black Dress.
Oh my!
And then
very nice.
I forget the guy's name, but he was the last living member of the original Drifters.
Yeah.
Sitting on the Dark of the Bay was performed by him, and then my favorite one who was in the lineup, who I wanted to meet really, really bad. And I found out that all three of the biggest names there were staying at the hotel we were staying at. And this guy was Tony Andreessen of the Trash Men.
Wow.
And if you guys haven't heard of Tony Andreessen, that's the gentleman. You may hear his voice occasionally in a Family Guy episode. And he sings the song Surfing Bird.
Oh.
And I found out.
He sings it or wrote it?
Someone originally wrote the song with this version that he does with that altered voice of his. And I will confirm that he can confirm that is not in any way altered. He does alter his voice naturally. That is actually him singing. So no special microphones, no special whatever that thing is. That's how he changes his voice, is naturally. And it takes talent to do that. He does not use any form of AI or whatever or tunage. That's actually him singing in that tone.
Wow.
And yes, he did perform it. He did not make any movements to change it. Yes, he did Surfing Bird. And I said, finally finally, my music fan is complete. I said that until the following summer. My mother and I actually seen this guy twice. My mother and I went up to Noblesville to see Jimmy Buffett, and I would like to memorialize Jimmy Buffett by saying "Fins up, bubbles up."
Right on.
And so I've seen Jimmy Buffett twice in Ruoff. The first time was, I believe, summer 2018, and little did I know, Huey Lewis was going to be opening for him on that show. The very first time I saw him. Come to think of it, nobody knew until we got there. We thought it was just going to be a solo act by Jimmy Buffett.
Right.
And then the most recent time was after all the pandemic stuff lifted. It was last summer, June of 2022, which was my friend Michael, my bandmate and Michael, and two of my mom's friends went up with us to the rural roots in Noblesville, Indiana. Shout out to Noblesville.
Oh, nice.
And we saw Jimmy Buffett. And but as far as my personal favorite performances, there's really only two. Number two will be the Jimmy Buffett in 2016 with Huey Lewis. But the number one, my favorite one, which I did not attend, was seeing Prince perform at the Super Bowl halftime show.
Wow.
Especially when he did Purple Rain.
In the Rain.
In not just a rainstorm.
Right, yeah.
The very minute, and I watched it the whole way through, start to finish, the very minute that the very first chord, the Purple Rain was struck, which is what it closed with, the very instant that first chord was struck, the rain came down. And it didn't just came down, it came down hard.
Yeah.
Here they are performing with live instruments and
well, you know, Prince, in my opinion, and I want to mention something about Jimmy Buffett here for a local tie-in.
okay.
But Prince, you know, a lot of people don't understand. Prince was a world-class guitar player, and to the point where he outshined, you know, the likes of Jeff Beck, Eric Clapton. He would give Hendrix, in my opinion, a run for his money.
I was gonna ask, where do you compare Hendrix to Prince, or how can you compare one to the other as far as who's on top of who?
Well, there are two different styles. You know, Prince is a more blues rhythm kind of guy. Well, Hendrix is too, but when he was first out, you know, a lot of people didn't know who this guy was, didn't know his style, didn't know anything about it. And the minute he got on stage with Eric Clapton, and I forgot where it was some club in Chicago, he overshadowed Eric Clapton to the point where Eric was like, "Who is this guy?" You know, he was like, "Get him off my stage! He's killing me!" Because he just blew him away, and he blew away the crowd. But from that point forward, Hendrix's style and his licks and his rhythm has been sampled and it has been picked up, and it's in a lot of songs that you hear every day on the radio that you don't really even realize. You know, so they're two different styles. But Prince, he also changed the trajectory of music with his style, you know.
Right.
And it's two different things.
And I know some people say, you know, there's always going to be like the next Jimi Hendrix or the next Bob Seger or the next so-and-so. But in my honest opinion, there's never going to be the next Prince. No one can imitate, no one can even come close to putting out a masterpiece style of music as Prince did. The same with Jimmy Buffett. Like, Jimmy Buffett, in my favorite, genre as far as music goes, the yacht rock, the reggae stuff combined into one as far as storytelling. There's really only two favorites as far as the storytelling style of music. And those are one, Jimmy Buffett,
yep,
and two, Gordon Lightfoot, who we also lost this year.
Yeah, we sure did.
And recently I realized that November the 10th came along, which was my mother's birthday. And it's also the anniversary of the sinking of the Evan Fitzgerald.
Yes, yes.
Which has been immortalized in song by Gordon Lightfoot. So
I don't know if you noticed, but I've been noticing on the radio they've been playing that song quite a bit here lately. I think it's play homage just for that.
Yeah, and I know a little bit of history. I read it. But Gordon Lightfoot died earlier this year. In the lyrics, it said the church bell chimed until it rang 29 times. Rich man of the Evan Fitzgerald. However, this past year, they actually did coverage of this. It rang 30 times. 29 for the crew, and one more for Gordon Lightfoot.
Wow, awesome.
At the Maritime St. Louis Cathedral.
That's awesome.
In Detroit, Michigan.
Rightfully so. And my little story about Jimmy Buffett, getting back to him for a second, is he has a local tie-in to Louisville, and I'm sure you guys and a lot of your fans out there will probably hear this name on the Louisville circuit anyway. Is Mickey Clark.
I have heard of Mickey Clark actually, and he's I understand he was involved with Jimmy Buffett in some way. I'm not sure.
He actually he toured with Jimmy Buffett for quite a while. But Mickey Clark was a Louisville native. He passed away a few years ago, but he's a Louisville native, and he has a very storied career in music, where he's played with the likes and toured with the likes of Buffett, Willie Nelson, Billy Joe Schaefer, which I don't know if you know who that is, but Billy Joe Schaefer is probably and he's passed away too, but he was probably responsible for 90% of a lot of the country music songs, and I'm talking old school music, country music that you've heard of, and he was phenomenal. Yeah, shout out, right on.
Yeah.
Right on. Yes.
Yeah.
Look at that. Yeah.
So, I would like to sort of wrap things up here by asking as far as getting back to Murph, is there any sort of is there a website or a phone number I can call as far as do they take donations? Or
Yeah, good. Thank you for that. So, yeah, if you go to murphrocks.com, it's all one word, Murph Rocks.
Caps or lowercase?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It'll get to the same place. But it's MERF rocks.com. There'll be a button up there at the top if you want to help, or if you're a musician and you need help. You have 2 different buttons up there, and you can do it right there.
I have to look it up. I know I've looked it up before, but again, that is Murph Rocks, one word, MERFROCKS. Is it .com or .org?
.com.
.com. MurphRocks.com. If you're, like Matt said, if you're a musician or if you need help with anything, musicians, stagehands, solo shows, or even if you just get your name put out there and you need help doing that, I'm sure my friend Matt here will help you. Matt, it has been an honor, and if you guys, and in closing, I would like to thank you for taking your time on your busy day.
Well, thank you for having me.
I know you're a busy guy, and remember, Mercurios Music and RestoBar. I can forward a list of the bands he's got coming up here in a week or so.
2931 Richland Avenue.
2931 Richland Avenue, Louisville, Kentucky, in downtown Heights Point. 40220 is the zip code. Find us on Facebook at Mercurios Music and RestoBar, Louisville, Kentucky. I am Matt Prophet.
I'm Matt Mercurio.
And for my YouTube followers, like, comment, subscribe. If there's any questions you'd like to have for Matt, comment, and I will get with him later in the coming weeks, maybe in the future. And we will see you shortly. Until then, peace. And for my dreamers out there, as Stephen Collier said, dream on. Thank you guys very much, and have a safe holiday season. Thank you.